to my channel. I hope you are having a lovely day. I have a 10-minute painting video for you today, and it's a little different from some of my others. It's more me just playing around with painting some botanical type shapes. I've been kind of into more botanical things lately, but not wanting to do a really long drawn out painting with them. So this was just me more playing around. I'm going to talk about some of the techniques I use and maybe ways you can achieve some decent botanical type shapes. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I spent quite a bit of time at the beginning here mixing up a green, and I'm using my sable liner, almost like a modern calligraphy type brush, because it's perfect for fine points and then creating botanical shapes. So I will show you what that looks like in a little bit, but in the meantime, I'm mixing up a green. I started off with a decent amount of sap green. Now I'm adding some ultramarine blue to tone it down. And then I am going in with some burnt umber just to take the chroma or vibrancy down a little bit. Sometimes when I've done other botanical paintings, and greens can be very, very bright and they almost look too bright. so I wanted to tone it down a little bit with that burnt umber. And now I'm going in and just using the tip of that brush, going in and making a curved line for the spine of this, we'll call it a fern. And I know you can't see it. I started out with the more difficult side. I'm right-handed, so doing the left side is a little more challenging, but you will see it a little better as I get further along. I start out on the tip of the brush, and then I press down, and then I bring the brush back up to the tip, so it creates this natural, leafy, long fern shape. And you want quite a bit of paint, the watery paint, for this here. If the paint doesn't have enough water, you're gonna get a lot of streaks. So you want to make sure you have enough water where it holds all the bristles of the brush together, keeps it at that fine point, and then you press, and then every once in a while it might not go exactly perfect like this one here did, so you may need to go back to the tip and just fill in a little bit. That is okay. Again, had just a little, not quite even amount, might not have had quite enough water on that brush. So just want to make sure I have plenty of paint and water. And now I'm doing the other side, the right side. And I started rushing a little bit. I realized when I came back up to the tip, I wasn't being super careful about bringing it right back to the tip so that it didn't get a sort of blotch at the end. So that fourth frond, I was much more careful about bringing it all the way back to the tip. Just going very gently and smoothly as you can. Again, starting on the tip, pressing down, and then bringing it back to the tip. And then creating that final one at the top, which I wanted to fill in a little more, make it a little more of that gently rounded shape. Fixing a couple of those lines at the beginning where I wasn't as careful as I could have been. But there you go. There is a fern. I don't know too much about botany, but somewhat fern type leafy piece of greenery. And now I am going in with just that pure sap green. It has a really lovely yellowish tone to it, so it's more towards the yellow side of your green spectrum. And going in again, we're on the tip here of that calligraphy brush, and just the smooth curve for the spine or the stem of the plant, and then going in and doing little individual branches that each have maybe 2 or 3 other smaller stems coming off of them. So that creates a very natural type of look. And then if you kind of blot your brush a little bit so it doesn't have too much water on it, and then do just little dots, almost little uneven type dots right at the tips of where those stems are coming off, it's gonna look like very delicate leafy greenery. So just dabbing those little dots on there, added a couple more mini stems coming off just to fill it in and make it look like it has a full amount of kind of leaves. Okay, so moving on to the next type, I wanted to practice just a general, really round leaf shape. And so I did go in with quite a bit of ultramarine blue and then the viridian hue. And I started off, I'm doing just half of the leaf, so you've got a somewhat semicircle type shape that you just fill in and bring it down to the bottom so that the darker part of the paint goes towards the bottom. And then you do the second half. And if you can, when you do that second half, you want to try and create a very fine white line right in the middle between the 2 halves. So that is the center vein of your leaf. And I'm sorry, earlier I thought I had gone into the Viridian green, but I think I may have actually used the Hooker's green instead. So this is a tiny bit of Hooker's green along with ultramarine blue, and then I am using some burnt umber for that stem and going back up at the top with the green color I mixed up to make it blend. So that's just a very simple round leaf shape. I wanted to try another leaf shape, one that has more of the sort of spiky edges. And when I first started, I realized I didn't have enough water in that paint, so it was a bit streaky. So I went back and mixed a little more with the sap green, tiny bit of ultramarine blue. And again, starting with that, just pressing and then bringing back up to the tip. And I kind of liked some of the texture that was already going on, so I just sort of played off of that and added little fine points, almost like spined edges of the leaf coming off. I didn't spend too much time on this one because I wanted to do one other type and I realized my time was quickly running out. So I mixed up quite a bit of ultramarine blue. And then I'm going for a somewhat spruce pine shape here. So starting with your center line and almost like streaks of a feather, just going in with fine lines on each side right off of that center line. But then to fill it in a little more, you'll keep going over the top with more streaks, maybe even slightly thicker lines just to get a bit of variation, and it creates a somewhat pine or at least more of a needle type shape or some sort of botanical piece that has needles. And then just with those last few seconds, I went ahead and added a signature. But there you go. You can see a few different types of ways you can experiment using a calligraphy brush to make some lovely botanical shapes. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, please give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I'd be very grateful. Until my next video, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, God bless, and I'll see you soon.